Mark, chapter 8, verses 31 through 38. Hear now the reading of the word. Then he began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He said all this quite openly, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." He called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? Indeed, what can they give in return for their life? Those who are ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. On February 15th, 13 people picked up their cross to follow Jesus. And we can talk about these texts all day long, but until we add our arms and our legs to the effort, that's all it is talk. There is a photograph of an ancient crucifix at a church in Corte Madre. In front of the church is a tall, splintering wooden Christ with his arms blown off in some war. And underneath it, someone wrote a long time ago, "Jesus has no arms, but ours to do his work and to show his love." Today we have 2 of our mission trippers who have agreed to share their experiences as the arms and legs of Jesus. And in so doing, they add their story to the story. Please join me in welcoming our mission folks.
I want to thank Pastor Joy for giving me the keys for a few minutes, and I promise to not crash the car and have it home by noon, okay? Before Jill comes up and relates some more practical, I suppose, stories about our day-to-day while we were down there, I felt like it would be remissful at best of me to not discuss a little bit the relationship about the great big themes in today's scriptures. These are a couple of really heavy hitters, so to speak. They have a number of those sort of golden quotes that we, anybody who has spent any time with the Bible, that they're very familiar with. And because even though I'm not 99, I'm old enough that I need prompts. So I'm going to review a few of those and then backtrack a bit and meander toward what we did in Oklahoma City. As Jesus says to Peter, and you have to remember that, just prior to this, in the verses right before that, Jesus is quizzing these guys. He's trying to get a feel for, okay, what's been going on in the last few weeks that I don't know about? What have you guys been saying in public? And he asks them what they're telling people about Jesus. And somebody says, that you are so-and-so, that you are the Messiah. And, it stops Jesus in his tracks because he wants people to follow him, but he wants people to follow him with the cold understanding that they are walking on the razor's edge, that they're going to be questioned, and that there's going to be a price to pay for all of that it is not going to be easy. So even though that I'm sure that he loves Peter, as soon as Peter says that you're the Messiah, Jesus turns on him and he calls him Satan. He says, no, don't do that. Be careful, because I still want to protect you, because there's a whole lot more coming. And I think that within that is the theme that it's going to be hard work. Yes, you have to get behind me and follow me, but you have to do so with eyes wide open. You have to know that you have to strip yourself. You have to be humble about what you're doing. You have to know everything that you don't know. Now, if you contrast that to what we hear in the reading from Genesis, which is, as it always is in the Old Testament, a much bigger metaphorical story, you also have to try to get your arms around it. And as I was doing that, I was trying to put it, as we always do here in the UCC, in a sort of very practical sense. So I imagined a farmer, a retired farmer, who perhaps not 99, perhaps 70, perhaps 65, really successful. He's done it all right. He's got his own proverbial pot of gold. He's got his 1,000 acres. He's there every Sunday. He's always got money for the Joyful Noise collection. He's always got a check to write. Essentially, he's done it all. He's at home. The doorbell rings, and it's not just any salesman. It's the world's greatest salesman, and he offers him a deal. And in the story that we heard today, it was the type of biblical story that many of us would go, yeah, well, that would be great if God came to my door and he laid it all out for me. I'd probably go anywhere with him. I'm sure that I would do what Abram did, that I'd first faint and then come to, and then I'd say, yeah, whatever I do, because God is promising him a king. He's going to be a king. He's promising to make Sarah, a princess. Sarah is princess. That's what the word. So he's essentially promising him everything. But is he? It's not going to go great, because again, when you jump to the rest of the story, so to speak, and there's much more than the next few verses. In the next few verses, what does it feature but a group circumcision and a whole bunch of ugliness that goes on with the servants? So you know that you've made the deal, but it's going to take a whole heck of a lot of humility. And here's the kicker, that the salesman says to the farmer, I can give you all that. You're going to become the greatest farmer of all time. You're going to feed the world. You're going to be known as, when it comes to farmers, you're going to be the guy that everybody is going to aspire to be. But you got to do this. You got to start all over. You've got to strip yourself away. You've got to become humble. You've got to have another son. You've got to do the impossible. That seems daunting. It seems like we're never going to get that kind of signal in our life, that those miracles aren't going to come forward and make it obvious to us, or will we act on it? We saw some of that last week when we initially got down there. We learned the story of a young man who, by the name of Kevin Walker, who was our team leader. And Kevin, when you met him, he looked like he was about 17 and a half. And he was essentially running all of the work crews for multiple rehabilitation projects for what I suspect over the time period he had done it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families. And Kevin essentially got that miracle. He got that sort of lightning bolt from the sky. On the day that that tornado hit, when he was at his desk job, his first job that he had out of college, the one that, I mean, we're all happy to get, and we feel like that's going to be the thing that propels us onto a career. On the day that that tornado hit, he quit his job, got on the phone, kicked himself into action, and started his new career for the next 2 years forward with the Oklahoma Disaster Response Team. And total leap of faith, had to completely strip himself of everything that he knew. He had to do this knowing that, that this was a finite gig, so to speak, that at some point it will come to an end, and it will do so probably in June or July of this year. But back to the Bible verses of today, that he was doing what needs to be done, in the sense that he was humbling himself and beginning again. A couple more things before I bring Joy up here, or Jill up here, excuse me. I need to at least touch on for a second on our weekend event that we attended. And there was, amongst the many things that we heard about, the telling of the stories of churches that had sort of created themselves from the ground up. And one story that was related was of a pastor, a young pastor in Colorado, who, as he was looking to get traction for his church, and he needed sort of an angle, a way to get started, he chose as his avenue Habitat for Humanity. He needed to begin somewhere. And so without a congregation, with nowhere to start, he just showed up on the build site and got to know people. And from there, things bloomed. And this beautiful mission statement that he wrote for his church, which struck me immediately for its simplicity, and that it consisted of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, the entire mission statement for the church. Serving others in Jesus' name. That's it. The whole thing's based on that. I think that reflects completely on what we were doing. One last thing before I hand off to Jill, which was another experience of the week. If you want to experience God's grace, in the past week, a former co-worker of mine lost a long battle with cancer. Her name was Mary Lou McDonald. Possibly the closest thing to an angel on earth that you ever met in your life. Mary Lou was a person who consistently had a smile on her face no matter what. She was the face of APT at our front desk for 3-4 years. And I knew her that way, and I knew there was something special about her, something that, God, if I could only get a little bit of that, my day would go better. As I sat at her funeral service, story upon story upon story was related about her life, right, including those 2.5 years of her battle with cancer, that even up until weeks before she entered hospice care, you got stories related from people who were those people that received her grace, that were telling us that even then, it was never about Mary Lou. It was like, oh yeah, oh, that cancer thing, you know, whatever. It didn't matter to her.